My name is Florence, and I'm 19 years old. I pause for a moment as I write those words in my diary. Outside my small window, the morning sun is trying to break through the clouds, but my room still feels dim. I hear the sound of my mother in the kitchen, the gentle clinking of cups. It's a normal morning, but inside, I feel heavy. People see me all the time, in the streets, in the college hallway, at the grocery store. But they never really see me. Their eyes always stop at my wheelchair. Some look with pity, some with curiosity, and some with that quick, uncomfortable glance they think I don't notice. But I do. I notice everything. Sometimes I wonder if my chair is louder than my voice. If my wheels are brighter than my smile. If my life story is already decided for me the moment they see me sitting here. But then, I remember my father's words. Words he told me the day I thought my life had ended. Florence, he said, a chair can hold your body, but it can't hold your dreams. People may see your chair, but the right ones will see your heart. I close my diary and take a deep breath. Today is another day I have to go out there and prove to the world, and maybe to myself, that I am more than what they see. And maybe, just maybe, someone will notice my heart before they notice my chair. The alarm clock rings softly on the table beside me. I don't need it. I was already awake. Mornings are quiet in our home. The kind of quiet where you can hear the kettle boil and the faint hum of the refrigerator. My mother knocks gently on my door before she enters. She doesn't rush. She never does. "Good morning, Florence," she says with a smile that's warm enough to make the room feel brighter. She helps place my bag on the chair beside me. We don't talk about my wheelchair, it's just a part of life now, like the table or the window. In the hallway, my father is tying his tie for work. When he sees me, he stops. "Big day today?" he asks. "Just college," I reply with a small smile. He leans down, his eyes meeting mine. "Remember what I told you," he says. "They'll see your chair first, but make sure they remember your smile." I nod. I've heard these words 100 times, but somehow, they still matter. Because when I roll out of our front door, I know the world is waiting. Some people will stare. Some will whisper. Some will look away. But today, like every day, I will lift my chin, keep my eyes forward, and remind myself, I am not just the girl in the chair. The campus gate feels bigger than I remember. Maybe it's not the gate, maybe it's me. Students are rushing in, voices mixing with the sound of bus engines and bicycle bells. I move forward slowly, my wheels turning over the uneven pavement. It's not the bumps that make it hard, it's the feeling of every pair of eyes that follows me as I pass. Some glance quickly, then look away. Some keep staring, their faces unreadable. And a few whisper to each other, covering their mouths as if that makes the words invisible. I tell myself not to care. I tell myself they don't matter. But the truth? Every look feels like a little stone being placed on my chest. As I reach the main hallway, a group of students part slightly to let me pass. No one speaks to me. No one smiles. It's not cruelty, but it's not kindness either. It's something in between, a space where you are seen, but never really known. I roll towards my first class, my hands firm on the wheels, my head held high. Inside, I whisper to myself, just one more day to get through, Florence. One more chance for someone to see you, and not just your chair. The smell of coffee and toasted bread greets me as I enter the cafeteria. It's loud in here, trays clattering, chairs scraping, voices overlapping in 100 little conversations. I roll towards the counter, trying to ignore the quick glances that follow me. My plan is simple: pick up something light, find a corner table, and disappear into the background. The man behind the counter hands me a tray, a bowl of soup, a sandwich, and a glass of juice. I balance it carefully on my lap, pushing my wheels forward slowly. One hand on the tray, one hand on the wheel. It's always tricky. Halfway to the table, one of the chair legs in my path sticks out. My wheel catches it, and the tray tilts dangerously. The juice wobbles, the soup sloshes over the edge. A few students at the nearby table pause mid-bite. No one moves. One girl leans towards another and whispers something, and they both give that tiny, polite laugh people use when they think you can't hear. I force a smile, pretending I didn't notice. I straighten the tray and keep moving until I find a small table in the corner. But as I set the tray down, my appetite is already gone. I stir the soup slowly, staring into the steam. It's not the spill that bothers me, it's that moment when everyone saw me struggling, and chose to keep watching instead of helping. I take a quiet breath and think, maybe tomorrow will be different. I'm still sitting in the corner, pushing my soup around the bowl, when I hear a voice behind me. Not loud. Not rushed. Just gentle. Is this seat taken? I look up. He's tall, maybe a year or two older than me. Dark hair, eyes that actually meet mine before drifting anywhere else. Most people glance at my chair first. He doesn't. No, I say quietly. He sets down his tray, a sandwich, black coffee, nothing fancy, and sits across from me. I'm Daniel, he says simply, as if it's the most normal thing in the world to sit with me. I nod. Florence. For a moment, we just eat in silence. But it's not the heavy, uncomfortable silence I'm used to. This one feels calm. Then he says, I saw you come in earlier. Looked like you were carrying more than you should have. I freeze slightly, unsure how to respond. It's fine, I reply. I manage. He nods slowly. I figured. You look like someone who manages a lot more than people realize. I don't know why, but that makes me pause. Not because of what he said, but because I can't remember the last time someone spoke to me like that. Not as if I'm fragile, not as if I'm an inspiration on display, but as if I'm just a person. I take a sip of juice, hiding the tiny smile forming at the edge of my lips. Maybe today will be different after all. Daniel takes a slow sip of his coffee, eyes glancing briefly out the cafeteria window before returning to me. So, first year? He asks. I shake my head. Second. You. Transfer student, he says, just moved here last week. There's something in the way he says it, light, unhurried, that makes me feel like he isn't trying to fill the silence, just inviting me to be part of it. How are you finding it so far? I ask. He smiles slightly. Different. Feels like everyone already knows everyone, except me. I let out a small laugh before I can stop myself. I know the feeling. His smile widens, but not in a showy way. More like, He's genuinely glad to have found common ground. What's your major? Graphic design, I reply, tapping my notebook on the table. You draw? I nod. A lot. He leans forward slightly, elbows on the table, curious. I'd like to see your work sometime, if you're okay with that. It's such a simple offer, but it catches me off guard. Most people don't ask to see anything about me unless it's about the chair, the story, the accident, the details I never want to share. Maybe, I say softly, and he just nods like that's a perfectly fine answer. No push. No pity. When he stands to leave, he picks up his tray, gives me a small nod, and says, "See you around, Florence." Not take care, not good luck, just see you around. Like he already knows this won't be the last time. Back in my room, the evening light spills through the thin curtains, painting the floor in soft gold. I should be working on my design project, but the pencil in my hand hasn't moved for 10 minutes. Instead, my mind is replaying the way Daniel looked at me. Not like he was searching for the story behind my chair. Not like he was trying to measure how inspiring I was supposed to be. Just, like I was another person at a table. It's strange how rare that feels. So rare, it's almost unfamiliar. I think about the way he asked to see my drawings, without hesitation, without that cautious tone people use when they're afraid to offend. And then the way he left, no dramatic goodbye, no oversweet encouragement. Just a simple "see you around." Like it was obvious that we would. I shake my head and set my pencil down. This is nothing. Just a polite conversation with someone new. But still. For the first time in a long time, I'm wondering about someone for reasons that have nothing to do with whether they'll hurt me, or whether they'll stay. The next afternoon, I will into my graphic design lecture hall a few minutes early. The room smells faintly of paper and marker ink. Rows of students are already settling in, flipping through sketchbooks, arranging pens in neat lines. I take my usual seat near the aisle, easy to get in and out. I'm unpacking my things when I hear a chair scrape a few rows back. I glance up, and there he is. Daniel. He gives a small nod, just enough to acknowledge me without drawing attention. Our professor, Ms. Harris, walks in and sets a stack of papers on the desk. All right, everyone. For this next project, you'll be working in pairs, she announces. A low ripple of chatter runs through the room. I feel that familiar tightness in my chest. Pairing usually means I end up with whoever's left, the person least interested in working with me. Ms. Harris starts calling names, matching students one by one. Then I hear it. Florence and Daniel. My head lifts involuntarily. He's already looking my way, not with surprise or hesitation, but with a quick, easy smile, as if this was the outcome he expected all along. As he moves to the seat beside mine, I notice something in his walk. Unhurried. No trace of that awkward, over-careful pace people sometimes take when approaching me. Looks like we're partners, he says, dropping his bag and pulling out a notebook. I nod, trying not to let the corner of my mouth curve up too much. Looks like it. For the rest of the lecture, I'm only half listening to Ms. Harris. The other half of me is wondering if this partnership is just another assignment. Or the start of something I haven't felt in a very long time. The library is almost empty when I arrive that afternoon. Dusty sunlight filters through tall windows, falling in soft patches over the rows of books. I roll quietly to the back corner, the place where noise rarely reaches, and spread my sketchbook and laptop on the table. A few minutes later, Daniel appears, a stack of design books balanced against his chest. "Thought I'd find you here," he says, sliding into the seat across from me. I glance at the books he brought: typography, color theory, a photography guide. "You came prepared," I remark. "I like knowing what I'm doing," he says with a small grin. Then, flipping one of the books open, he adds, "But I also want to know what you want to do for this project." I pause, pencil hovering over my page. Most people I've worked with in class take the lead immediately, assuming they need to direct things because it'll be easier for me. But here he is, waiting for my idea first. "I was thinking of a concept that combines hand-drawn elements with digital work," I say slowly. Daniel leans forward, elbows on the table, listening like every word matters. "Show me," he says. I turn my sketchbook so he can see a rough outline I made last night. He studies it for a moment, nodding. "This is good. We can build around this, your drawings, my photo edits. Makes it ours, not just mine or yours." Something about the way he says ours settles warm in my chest. Not helping me. Not letting me be part of it. But building it together. As we dive into the work, our conversation slips easily between project details and small personal stories. I learn that he writes short poems but never shows them to anyone. He learns that I can't drink coffee without adding far too much sugar. For the first time in a long while, working with someone doesn't feel like work at all. We've been working for nearly an hour, the table covered in pencils, reference books, and half-finished sketches. Daniel is scrolling through photos on his laptop, searching for textures we can use. "How about this one?" he says, turning the screen toward me. It's a dramatic shot of raindrops on a window, moody and artistic. "It's nice," I say, tilting my head. "But maybe too dark for our theme." He nods, clicks to the next picture, and suddenly, I'm looking at a blurry close-up of a pigeon that seems to be staring directly into the camera with the most confused expression I've ever seen. I blink. Then a small laugh escapes me before I can stop it. "What is that?" Daniel grins. "That," he says with mock seriousness, "is an artistic study of urban wildlife. Very deep. Very meaningful." I laugh again, this time covering my mouth with my hand. It's not loud. Not forced. Just easy. He smiles like he's proud of himself. "There it is." "There what is?" I ask, still smiling. "Your real laugh," he says simply, then goes back to scrolling. For a second, I just watch him. No one's pointed out my laugh before. Most people barely give me the space to show it. And here's this almost stranger, making me forget, even for a moment, about the weight I carry every day. I glance back at my sketchbook, but the smile stays, quietly lingering like a secret I'm not ready to share. That night, I lie in bed with the lights off, the quiet hum of the street outside filling the room. I should be tired after hours of work, but my mind is restless. I keep replaying that moment in the library, the silly pigeon photo, the easy laughter, the way it just happened. It's been a long time since I laughed like that. Longer than I care to admit. My eyes drift to the small photo frame on my bedside table. It's from before the accident, me and two friends at a fairground, our arms linked, faces mid-laugh, hair messy from the wind. I stare at that girl in the picture. She looks carefree, untouched by the heaviness that now follows me everywhere. After the accident, those friends visited for a while. They brought flowers, cards, gentle smiles. But the visits grew shorter, and then stopped. The group chats fell silent. And soon, the only people in my life were family and the occasional stranger offering pity. I remember sitting in my wheelchair for the first time in public, hearing laughter behind me, not knowing if it was about me, but feeling like it had to be. Since then, I'd learned to guard myself. To keep my smiles polite and my laughter quiet, hidden where no one could twist it into cruelty. But today, in the middle of a pile of books and sketches, with someone I barely know, I forgot all that. Just for a second. And maybe that's why it scared me, because forgetting felt so good. The next day, I'm leaving the lecture hall, my notebook balanced on my lap, when I hear footsteps catching up behind me. "Hey, Florence," Daniel's voice calls out, light and unhurried. I turn slightly as he comes alongside me, walking at my pace without making it obvious. "You free right now?" he asks. "Sort of, why?" He points toward the cafeteria. "I was going to grab lunch. Thought maybe you'd join me." For a moment, I freeze. Eating with someone sounds simple, but for me, it's never simple. There's the stares, the awkward pauses, the way people sometimes talk to the person with me instead of me. I must hesitate a second too long, because he adds quickly, "No pressure. Just thought it'd be nice." I study his face. There's no pity there, no desperate insistence, just an open offer I can accept or refuse. "Okay," I say finally. "But only if you promise not to order anything with too much crunch." I hate loud chewing. He laughs softly. "Noted." As we make our way to the cafeteria, I feel that mix of nerves and curiosity again. Part of me wants to turn back, to hide in my corner table like always. But another part, the part that heard my own laugh yesterday, wants to see where this might go. We find a table near the window, bright light spilling across the surface, the view opening onto the campus lawn. Daniel sets his tray down, slides into the seat opposite me, and starts unwrapping his sandwich. I place my juice carefully beside my plate, trying to focus on the small talk we're making, the project, our favorite artists, the weather turning cooler. For a while, it feels almost normal. Then I hear it. Not loud. Not meant for me to hear. Two girls at the table behind Daniel's shoulder, their voices lowered but not low enough. "Do you think they're together?" one whispers. The other laughs under her breath. "Why would he be with her? Look at." Her words trail off, but I don't need her to finish. I already know how that sentence ends. The air in my lungs feels heavier. I look down at my plate, pretending to adjust my fork, hoping Daniel doesn't notice. I've heard worse before, but it never stops stinging, that quick, careless judgment that turns you into nothing more than the chair you sit in. Daniel keeps talking about a new gallery opening in town, his voice steady, unaware, or maybe pretending to be unaware, of the whispers. I nod at the right moments, but my mind has already gone quiet. The soup in front of me cools, untouched. I try to remind myself, they don't matter. Their words don't matter. But in this moment, they do. And the worst part? I don't even know why it hurts more today than it usually does. Daniel pauses mid-bite, his eyes lifting for just a fraction of a second toward the table behind him. He doesn't say anything right away, no sharp words, no confrontation, just that quick flicker in his gaze, like he's decided something. Then he leans forward slightly, resting his elbows on the table, and looks directly at me. "You know," he says, his tone casual but clear, "I've worked with a lot of people. But I can honestly say you're the smartest partner I've had in a long time." I blink, caught off guard. "What?" He shrugs, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "You see details other people miss. That's rare." The words land heavier than he probably realizes. It's not just a compliment, it's a deliberate choice to pull my focus back to something that's mine, something beyond the chair. I can still hear the faint murmur of the girls behind him, but it's fading now, drowned out by the way he's looking at me. Not like someone making a point. Not like someone trying to defend me. Just someone who knows my worth and isn't afraid to say it out loud. I look down briefly, my fingers tracing the edge of my napkin, trying to hide the warmth rising in my chest. "Thanks," I say softly. Daniel just nods once, like it's nothing extraordinary, but to me, it feels like the first time in a long time that someone's words have replaced the ones I've been hearing in my head. The late afternoon sun is softer now, dipping low enough to cast long shadows across the campus lawn. After lunch, Daniel suggests we take the long way out, and somehow we end up at the small park on the edge of the grounds. We find an empty bench under an old oak tree. The air smells faintly of grass and distant rain. For a few moments, we just sit there, no rush, no noise but the sound of leaves shifting in the breeze. "So," Daniel says, leaning back with one arm stretched along the bench, "I feel like I know what you study, what you draw, but not much else." I glance at him, then down at my hands resting in my lap. "There's not much to tell," I reply automatically. "I don't believe that," he says, his tone light but steady, as if he's inviting me to prove him wrong. I take a quiet breath. "I had an accident 2 years ago," I say finally. "Before that, I walked everywhere. I ran, danced, climbed things I shouldn't have." I let out a faint, humorless laugh. Now, it feels like people only see me through this filter. Like I'm a before and after photo they can't unsee. Daniel doesn't interrupt. He doesn't rush in with sympathy or cliches. He just listens, really listens, the way someone does when they want to hold on to every word. "What about you?" I ask, because the quiet between us is starting to feel too personal to be one-sided. He exhales, eyes drifting toward the horizon. "My dad's business collapsed when I was 16, he says. "We moved 3 times in 2 years. I learned pretty fast that people disappear when your life stops being convenient for them." I look at him then, really look, and realize that behind his easy smile, there's a story he doesn't share lightly either. For a moment, neither of us speaks. The wind rustles through the branches above us, scattering a few leaves at our feet. And somehow, in that quiet, I feel like we've exchanged something bigger than just stories. We've traded pieces of ourselves that most people never get to see. We're still sitting under the oak tree when the shadows start to grow longer, stretching across the grass like dark fingers. I can feel the evening chill creeping in, but I don't want to be the one to end this conversation. Daniel glances at me, his expression thoughtful, as if weighing whether to say what's on his mind. Finally, he speaks. Can I tell you something? I nod slowly. I know people notice your chair first. That's human, I guess. But when I look at you, Florence, I don't see it. I see you. The words hang there between us, warm against the cool air. I'm not sure what to say. I've heard plenty of people say, I don't care about your wheelchair, but it's always been the kind of thing they say to make themselves feel good, not to make me feel seen. This feels different. It's not pity. It's not overcompensation. It's just truth. I open my mouth, but all that comes out is a soft, thank you. Not because I'm grateful he overlooked something, but because he didn't have to say it, and still did. For the first time in a long time, I feel like maybe I'm not just existing in the background of someone else's world. Maybe, in his, I'm already in focus. A week later, our class is assigned to present project drafts in the old arts building, the one with narrow corridors and a small lecture hall upstairs. I already know what's coming. Those stairs. There's a ramp at the back, but it's steep and awkward, and half the time someone's left a cart or boxes blocking the way. When we arrive, Daniel walks ahead, carrying his laptop bag. He's halfway up the first step before he realizes I've stopped. What's wrong? He asks, turning back. I tilt my head toward the hallway. Ramps around there. It's fine, I'll manage. He doesn't say, do you need help, the way most people do, like it's a test of whether I'm capable. Instead, he nods once and says, all right. Let's check it out. We round the corner, and sure enough, the ramp is partially blocked, a stack of paint cans on one side, a folded easel on the other. I sigh. This happens a lot. Daniel doesn't sigh back. He just sets his bag down, moves the cans and easel aside, and tests the ramp with his own foot like he's checking if it's steady. All right, clear now, he says. You go first, I'll be right behind. I push forward, the wheels humming over the slope. It's easier with the path unobstructed, but I can still feel the slight tilt pulling at me. Halfway up, I feel a light touch at the back of my chair, not pushing, just steadying. You've got this, Daniel says quietly. At the top, he steps back instantly, giving me space like nothing unusual just happened. No fuss. No wow, you did great. Just moving on like equals. And somehow, that makes all the difference. That evening, I'm back in my room, the glow from my desk lamp casting a small circle of light over my sketchbook. I should be working on the project notes we promised to finalize, but my pencil just hovers above the page. I keep thinking about today, the blocked ramp, the way Daniel didn't hesitate, didn't make a big show of helping. He didn't act like a hero. He just cleared the way, walked beside me, and let me do the rest. It sounds like nothing. But to me, it's everything. For so long, I've built these walls around myself, quiet, invisible walls meant to keep out pity, judgment, and the sting of being underestimated. Walls that also, without meaning to, kept out moments like this. And now here's someone who doesn't try to climb over those walls or break them down with force. He just walks close enough that, before I know it, I've opened a door on my own. I stare at the blank page in front of me, realizing I'm not just sketching ideas for the project anymore. I'm sketching a scene from memory, an old ramp, a pair of steady hands, and a quiet voice saying, "You've got this." And maybe I do. The next day, I'm in the library early, flipping through my sketchbook when I hear footsteps approach. I don't even need to look up to know it's him. "Morning," Daniel says, placing a brown paper-wrapped package on the table between us. I frown slightly. "What's this?" "Just something I saw and thought of you," he says casually, but there's a flicker in his eyes, that kind you get when you're not sure if the other person will accept what you're giving. I carefully untie the twine and peel back the paper. Inside is a small leather-bound sketchbook, the cover embossed with a delicate pattern of leaves and waves. It's not brand new, the leather is soft, a little worn, like it's been waiting to be held again. "It's secondhand," Daniel explains quickly. But I liked that about it. It's got a history, like the person using it matters more than keeping it perfect. I run my fingers over the cover, feeling the grooves in the design. For a moment, I can't speak. It's not an expensive gift. It's not flashy. But it's exactly the kind of thing that feels like me, quiet, a little imperfect, but full of space to create something new. "Daniel." I start, but my voice catches. He just smiles softly. "I figured your art shouldn't be stuck in class assignments. This one's for you, only you." I close the sketchbook gently, holding it against my lap. No one's given me something like this in a long time, not just a gift, but a piece of trust. And I already know. I'm going to fill these pages with more than just drawings. For the next few days, I don't go to the library at our usual time. I tell myself I'm just busy, assignments, errands, a few extra hours helping at home, but the truth is simpler. I'm avoiding him. Not because I don't like being around him, but because I do. It's easier to believe people's kindness when it's small, casual, forgettable. But Daniel's kindness, it lingers. It's not the kind you can dismiss as politeness. And that makes me nervous. Every time I look at the sketchbook he gave me, sitting on my desk, I feel a pull, not just to draw, but to trust. And trust is something I've taught myself to ration, to give only in pieces, to people who can't really hurt me if they leave. What if I'm reading it wrong? What if this is just who he is, kind to everyone, and I've mistaken it for something special? Or worse, what if he means it now, but one day, like so many others, he quietly fades away? So I keep my distance. Short replies to his messages. Quick exits from class before he can catch up. And yet, even in the space I'm creating, I can still feel him there. Like a steady presence just outside the walls I'm trying so hard to keep standing. It's after class when I hear my name. Florence. Not rushed. Not sharp. Just enough weight in his voice to make me stop. I turn to see Daniel standing a few steps behind me, his bag slung over one shoulder. There's no frustration on his face, just that steady look I'm starting to recognize, the one that says he's paying attention even when I wish he wasn't. "You've been hard to find lately," he says lightly, but I can hear the question beneath it. I adjust the strap of my bag, my eyes drifting toward the floor. "I've been busy." He tilts his head. Busy avoiding me, maybe? The directness catches me off guard. My instinct is to deflect, to laugh it off, but something about the way he's looking at me makes lying feel pointless. "I just needed some space," I admit quietly. "Why?" he asks, his tone softer now. I hesitate, then sigh. "Because people don't stay." And I'm not sure I want to get used to having someone around who might not be here later. For a moment, he doesn't answer. Then he steps closer, lowering his voice so it's just for me. Florence. I'm here because I like who you are. Not because I feel sorry for you, and not because I have to be. You matter to me, and that doesn't change if it gets hard or inconvenient. The words hit harder than I expect. Not because they're dramatic, but because they're plain, steady, and without a hint of performance. I search his face for any sign of insincerity and find none. Okay, I whisper. It's not a promise, but it's the first step toward believing him. Daniel smiles faintly, like he knows that's all I can give right now, and that it's enough. 2 days later, we meet in the library again. It's quieter than usual, only the faint hum of the ceiling fans breaking the stillness. Daniel is flipping through a photography book while I sit across from him, my bag resting on my lap. For a while, neither of us talks much. Then I reach into my bag and pull out my diary, the worn blue one I've been writing in since the accident. The leather corners are bent, the pages slightly frayed. What's that? He asks, eyebrows lifting slightly. Something I don't usually show people, I say, my fingers brushing over the edge of a folded page inside. I slide it toward him slowly, stopping halfway across the table. You don't have to, he starts, but I shake my head. I want to. He takes it gently, unfolding the page. It's an entry from months ago, written on a night when everything felt too heavy. People see my chair and think they know my story. But they don't know that my story isn't about what I lost. It's about what I'm still afraid to hope for. When he finishes reading, he looks up at me. Not with pity. Not with that glassy, over-soft expression people get when they don't know what to say. Just with quiet, steady understanding. Florence, that's beautiful. And it's real. Thank you for letting me see it. I nod, my throat tight. It's a small thing, just a page of words, but for me, it's like unlocking a door I've kept shut for far too long. And in the way he folds the page back carefully, sliding it toward me without a single crease out of place. I know he understands exactly how much it means. The campus is alive with color and noise. Music drifts from the open-air stage, mingling with the smell of popcorn and street food. It's the annual college fest, a day I usually avoid. Too many people. Too many eyes. But this year, Daniel insisted I come. You don't have to do anything, he'd said with that knowing half-smile, just be there. I'm sitting near the edge of the crowd when the MC announces the next performance, a special act by Daniel. My head snaps toward the stage just in time to see him walk up, holding a wireless mic. Before I start, he says, scanning the audience, I want to invite someone up here. His eyes find mine instantly. Florence, will you join me? The crowd parts a little as he walks toward me, extending his hand. For a second, my chest tightens, the old fear whispering, everyone will stare. But then I see his expression. It's not come on, be brave. It's I want you here, with me. I take his hand. The ramp to the stage is narrow, but he walks beside me, matching my pace until we're under the lights. We're going to do something simple, he tells the crowd. A duet. She sketches. I write. Tonight, we're mixing both, live. He kneels beside a large canvas on an easel while a soft instrumental track begins to play. As he reads short lines of poetry into the mic, I start sketching beside him, strokes quick but steady, and the words and lines begin to form a single piece of art. By the time we finish, the canvas shows a wheel turning into a blooming flower, Daniel's verses wrapping around the petals like vines. The applause is warm, not pitying. I look out at the audience and, for once, I don't feel like they're only seeing my chair. They're seeing us. Daniel leans closer, his voice just for me. Told you I wanted you here. The lights from the stage are still bright behind us as we step down the ramp. The sound of applause fades into a low hum of chatter, but in my head, it's already gone quiet. Daniel walks beside me, carrying the canvas under one arm like it's something fragile. We slip away from the crowd and find a quieter spot behind the building, where the night air is cooler and the faint scent of flowers drifts in from the garden. I stop, turning my chair slightly so I'm facing him. He looks at me with that patient expression he always has, the one that says he's not rushing me, not expecting anything. Daniel, I start, my voice softer than I intend. He tilts his head slightly, waiting. You saw my heart before anyone else did. The words are simple, but my chest feels lighter the moment they leave my mouth. He doesn't laugh, doesn't look surprised. Instead, his eyes soften, and he sets the canvas gently against the wall. And I'll keep seeing it, he says, stepping closer. That's never going to change. There's no dramatic music, no grand gesture, just a quiet certainty in his voice that makes me believe him. For a moment, I can't speak. So I do the only thing that feels right, I smile, a real, unguarded smile, and let him see it. He smiles back, and in that small, still moment under the dark sky, I realize. The applause was for the performance. But this is for us. The campus is quieter now, the fest winding down to scattered laughter and the faint thump of distant music. I'm in my room, the canvas from tonight propped up against my desk, a wheel blooming into petals, Daniel's handwriting curling around it like it's part of the drawing. My diary lies open in front of me. I tap the pen against the page for a few seconds before the words start to come. People still see my chair when they look at me. Maybe they always will. But someone saw my heart first. And that changes everything. I pause, glancing at the sketchbook Daniel gave me. The one that still has so many empty pages waiting to be filled, not just with art, but with the kind of moments I never thought I'd have again. Outside my window, I hear the faint sound of footsteps on the path. I don't even need to look to know it's him. A soft knock on the door confirms it. Ready for our late-night tea run? Daniel's voice calls, warm and familiar. I close the diary gently, a smile tugging at my lips. Always, I reply. As I roll toward the door, I glance back at the open page one last time. Because tonight, for the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm just living with my chair. I feel like I'm living, with my heart wide open.